There's a lot of confusion about the words passion and purpose. They're two separate things. They're connected, but they're different. Okay, so passion, by the world's definition, is excitement or enthusiasm. But in the kingdom, passion, an actual literal translation, comes from the word suffering. So the root word of passion means suffering. And in the kingdom, what that looks like in passion for life is the journey from suffering to healing, and the compassion you have to help others experience that same freedom and peace and wholeness that you've received. Now, when you're called by God to do those things, you find a lot of purpose in your life. For me personally, I was, successful but empty, and my soul was deprived. I was demonized. I had all these different things going on in my life. I needed a health awakening, a relational awakening, a spiritual awakening, a money awakening. I've been through all of these different awakenings over the last 10 years or more, and the Lord's been doing a lot of deep inner work in me to bring me to wholeness and the original design that He's intended for me, and I'm still on that journey, but I find purpose in helping others on that journey. Now, do I find passion by the world's definition? That's another question. It's a real self-control for me to stay the course and not go do something different because I know I'm called by God. Passion connects to purpose in the kingdom, but you won't always have the world's version of excitement or enthusiasm in what God calls you to in your purpose. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't find a ton of freedom and fulfillment in what God has called me to. I absolutely do. I find the most joy in seeing people activated and seeing people become more free and set on new trajectories in their life. And I have walked with and worked with people for years now, and that journey can be extremely challenging at times because, as you can imagine, it's not all an upward trajectory, right? It's not like every time I'm talking with somebody it's just like celebration, win, awesome. There's challenges, there's real difficulties. And, as I look back on my life and I look through the suffering that I've experienced, which for me, it's a lot more internal suffering, which is real suffering, but just different than maybe outward what you see. I think about all of the different things I've had to go through to find myself in a place of more wholeness and healing. I think about all of the frustrations, the years of chronic fatigue as a practical example, the difficulties in making lifestyle changes and overcoming thought patterns that, even though I was delivered, which means going from bondage to freedom in my spirit, soul, and body, I still had ways of thinking in my brain capacity that I had to change habitually. And so, even in just dialogue, in relationships with my wife, like learning how to think different and not be so hard and harsh with my words. And, there's a lot of things that I've had to navigate myself on that journey, and it has not been pretty. I mean, being delivered of demons multiple times is not a pretty sight. Weeping for hours, going through inner healing is great at the end, but it's pretty difficult in the midst of it. Seeing somebody you love die is hard, and grieving for years afterwards and being derailed for like 7 years of your life is hard. But I was gonna say like it's worth it. Like, to get to the other side is worth it. The journey is difficult, and I don't have, by the world's definition, passion for every step of that journey. And when I'm walking with other people who are going through their journey and their trials and difficulties, challenges, whatever it may be, it can be hard, it can be weighty. And thank the Lord for the Lord. Thank you, Jesus, that you can carry what we can't carry. At the same time, when God calls you to something, I have tremendous purpose in it, but it's a real discipline to stay. It's a real discipline to say, okay, I am going to say yes, Lord, even though I don't have the emotion in this moment, or even though there's maybe a lot of challenges with different people in different places on their journey. I'm going to say yes because I know it's worth it. It's what you've called me to, and you're worth it, Lord. So for me, passion and purpose, they are different. They're interconnected. Passion absolutely leads you and directs you towards a purpose in your life, especially as you begin to understand all the different areas that maybe you've experienced suffering and have gone through the journey towards wholeness and healing and growth. But you might not be super jazzed about it all the time. I don't think that's the best benchmark for whether or not something is purposeful for your life. So I hope that helps you kind of bring more language and understanding to something that I think the world has completely off. I can say from my personal experience and a more naive, younger version of myself, I think there was a lot more enthusiasm and excitement about the idea of responding to the call that God had on my life and beginning that journey. I mean, the first events I held, New York and DC, and then London, and starting to speak and all of that was really exciting. It was super scary. There was a lot of like just personal, fear, and then I think spiritual attack, because I was stepping out into something that I know God called me to. But at the same time, over the years, as I learned what he really had for me, or what he's really called me to do, and in speaking truth, in love, but truth, I've learned, wow, there's like a real cost to that, and that can be challenging. And it's extra challenging when there's multiple other routes or directions or things you could do with your life. So you say, Lord, I receive all of the gifts you've given me. I say thank you. I want my life to be a sacrifice and worship. And at the same time, like, navigating it can be hard. Navigating it can require some self-control that I don't have sometimes, that I need to check myself on in my attitude, or even just, it's not just an emotional thing. It's just I'm committed making this choice regardless of how my emotional state is. And that can be super challenging when, you're not getting those lifts, the wind at your back, and maybe some of the winds that you, WINS, the winds that you are looking for or hoping for. So it really challenges you, and the Lord really has to be enough. He has to be enough in your life when you're called to do certain things. Frankly, I know I'm going off on this a little bit more than I thought I would, but frankly, I'm a fairly private person. It does not make me super excited to live an open life. I'm really challenged by that, and I don't need to do it. I don't need to do it. I feel led to do it, and I feel led to share, videos like this and messages like this, and different posts and other things. But I'm really challenged in being consistent, because it's not something I'm personally designed in my personality to do. But I know that it helps people, and I know that I'm a messenger, and I know that it's important that I share. And there's the the practicals of, like, that helps people become more aware that I can help if they want to talk. But on the other side of that, it's like I'd much rather just kind of like live my life quietly and be okay with that. And so, you can really have a lot of challenges as you're navigating the whole questions of, purpose and direction, passion, and how that all fits in. But I think there's a lot of clarity when you recognize, okay, passion by the world's definition is excitement, but in the kingdom is the process of suffering to healing, and that compassion you develop as a result to help other people on the journey who you want to see be free, at peace, experiencing what you've experienced because of the Lord's goodness in your life. I believe that that's really, the purposeful life when you figure out kind of what that is for you. Everybody's got a journey, and that it doesn't have to be your profession. I believe, purpose is found in the present, and I don't believe you have to make money doing it. I mean, what I do it for free. I do it for a lot of money. what I think is a lot of money. And anywhere in between. I'm out there on the street talking with 14-year-old kids mowing the lawn about, activating their life and who God is and entrepreneurship and all kinds of other things. And then, I'm on 2-hour phone calls, 2.5-hour phone calls, one-on-one with somebody, people I work with and walk with for years. And they pay to support my family, my ministry, but ultimately their growth and their journey. So for me, it's like whether you get paid, whether it's free, it's like if you're operating in your purpose and you're understanding, what God's called you to, you're just going to do it really regardless of where you go. And the context may look different, but it's all about your commitment. It's all about your commitment. And that is something that I can say now, that might be a different perspective than younger TJ would have had to say. But I hope that helps you think about passion and purpose in a different way. Last thing I'll say is we talk a lot about passion, purpose, and specifically get into some different ways that you can identify more of this in your life, and what that looks like practically, and breaking patterns and getting more clarity in the 8-week boot camp called Live Your Legacy. And I've been doing this boot camp since 2017. It's normally about a $6,000 investment, and the Lord's asked me to offer it this last one of the year for give any gift. That means whatever gift you want to give. I've done away with the application process. I've done away with the $6K investment, and I've opened it up to literally anybody who messaged me with the word boot camp and says why they want to join. And then I'll send you, a couple details and a link to give any gift to join the boot camp. We start September 3rd. So if you're watching or listening, if you're on YouTube, you can send me a message. On Instagram, you can email me. If you're on Instagram, just send me a message. Just say boot camp. I'll know exactly what you're talking about. We'll chat and we'll connect. I'll probably have a limit to the number of people who I can have in the group. I've expanded it. I've normally keep it to 5, maybe like 6 people, but we are well over that right now, and I anticipate being even more, having even more people join. So if you're interested, let me know as soon as you can so that I can get you in. And it's trajectory changing, and it is powerful. It definitely changes the way that you approach your life, challenges you. It's not for people who want like quick fix. I just want to change everything overnight. It's for people who are like, I'm in it for the long game, committed. I deeply care about this whole thing you're talking about around passion and purpose. I want to know who I am and my God-given identity, but also I want to connect that practically to, how I live a changed life in my health, in my relationships, even just professionally with money. And I want to connect all of that with the Holy Spirit leading. So that's a big, kind of way of describing it, but each person comes in with their own main thing for the 8 weeks. And then we break it down and we meet once a week, and you have a training that you'll go through with a different topic before we meet. So it's super powerful, and I would love to have you. It literally makes no sense why I would do this if you knew more about my life, but the Lord just asked me to. So just message me boot camp, and I appreciate you guys. Share this with somebody if you thought it was helpful.